PJNet Live, 9:30 here on the East Coast this Tuesday, January 7th of the year 2020. And we have a background image waiting. We have a bumper rolling. We have Del Duduit in our green room. And we have a chat room that is alive and well. Let's switch to Studio 6 in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, folks, welcome to the second half of the PJNet Live. If you are joining us live in our chat room from patriotjournalist.com, a special welcome to you. But if you're watching this live on YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook, we are streaming live there as well. Thank you for making PJNet part of your online experience tonight. And of course, if you are watching it on the recorded versions later, the same thing is true. Thank you for sharing your time with us. Now, the reason that everybody is here right now is to encounter Del Duduit, who is joining us from, I don't know how cold it is up there in Ohio, but Del, you have come through again. We've got the football background up there, but we're not going to be able to keep that up there much longer. But your blog today focuses on one of the many subjects you have found in the world of football. And Andy Dalton is a man's man, but you found a new spin, because you know him a little better than most.
Yeah, Andy, I've been able to talk to Andy and interview him, 5 or 6 times over the last couple of years. And we're not best buddies. We don't go out to dinner together, but Andy knows who I am. If I go in the clubhouse, he knows my name. He knows what I do, and he's always friendly with me. Gives me time. I've had a couple of exclusives with him for some major publications that he's agreed to sit down with me about. And as a result, I can say we're friendly. We're not friends, but we're friendly to each other. His parents, his mom wrote an endorsement for our Bengals book. Funny story about how I got to know Tina. I've never met Tina, his mom, but I did a piece for Focus on the Family. I had it here a minute ago. Anyway, I did this piece for Focus on the Family that we met at the Blue Ridge Conference, Blue Ridge Mountain Christian Writers Conference. And the guy says, "Can you get Andy Dalton?" And I didn't know it at the time. I just said, "Sure." Sure I can. And I thought, so I get back and how am I going to do this, So I make my contacts, and of course I get, he agrees to sit down with me. And so anyway, we do this story, and they Focus on the Family, Clubhouse Magazine love it. And so the editor sends me a note. He calls me one day. He says, "Hey, man, can you get some pictures of Andy when he was like in high school or junior high?" And I thought,
really?
How am I going to do that? I said, "Sure. Yeah, I'll get that." I thought, how am I going to do this? I don't know. What might be pictures of Andy? I don't have his phone number, So what I did was I reached out to, I called his high school in Katy, Texas.
Okay.
And some nice lady answers the phone, and I tell her who I am, what I'm doing. And I said, "I'm trying to get some pictures of Andy." She said, "Oh, we love Focus on the Family. We love Clubhouse Magazine." I said, "Well, great. Help me out here." So she says, "You have a number?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got a number." Or a pen? I said, "Sure, I got a pen." And she said, "Well, take down this number." And so I'm taking it down. And I said, "Is this like the school historian? Is this the school librarian?" She goes, "No, that's." She said, "No, that's Tina's number." And I said,
"Tina who?"
"Who's Tina?" And he said, "Well, yeah." And she said, "Well, that's Andy's mom." I went, "Oh, okay, sure." So I called Andy's mom. I called Tina. She answered the phone. We chatted for a little bit. And I said, "Yeah, this is what I'm needing." She goes, "Oh, sure." Within like 2-3 hours, I had like 15 pictures of Andy emailed to me that they appeared in the article because I sent them on to the editor, and so I thanked her. We stayed in touch off and on, and so I wrote a book about the Bengals, and so I sent her some chapters, and she says, "Oh, I love this. What can we do?" And I said, "Would you write an endorsement?" She goes, "Well, sure, I will." And so she wrote an endorsement that's on the back cover. In fact, I have it right here. That's Tina wrote one of the endorsements on the back cover. Tina and Greg Dalton.
And in exchange for that, you did not include the picture of him in his diapers or butt
No,
naked in the
no.
bathtub or something.
No, they were like pictures of him, like in junior high and baseball and football, and when he was 7, 8, 9, because that's who Clubhouse magazine appeals to, is the 8, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old athlete. So that's how all that happened. It's kind of things happen.
Del, I have to interrupt you to. We have an urgent message in the chat room. JD wants to know about that Barbie doll back there.
It's not a Barbie doll. That is, and I can see that. That is my Ann Coulter doll that talks. And everybody knows who follows politics knows who Ann Coulter is. She's a political pundit and very right-wing political pundit. So that's a talking doll that I have that came. Got her to sign a book, and then she autographed one of the books behind me. And then had the doll was there, so I went ahead and grabbed it. So.
That's the protocol. You have to buy something,
Yeah, typically, yeah.
But you now benefit from that protocol, right?
Yes, I do. Yeah, because when we did our book signing up in Pittsburgh with Clint Hurdle, who was the manager of the Pirates then, people came up wanting him to sign memorabilia. Mm-hmm. And he would say, "Well, sure I will, but you got to go buy Dale's book, and I'll sign it." And so they did. They did. He's like, this guy came up with like this jersey. Hey, we sign this jersey. Well, sure I will. Do you have Dale's book? Well, no. We'll go get his book, and I'll sign it. It was great.
He knows
a lot of books that day.
Baseball is not the only game he knows.
Mm-hmm. No, he was there. Well, he's there to sign the book with me because he was in the book, so he wrote the sign with me. So yeah. But yeah, Andy, he's facing out a dilemma, I wouldn't call it, but some of certain times he's been the only place he's ever known is the Bengals. He's been there since 2011 and been a starter. So he holds about every record there is in Cincinnati. But he's probably
including a 2-14.
2-14 record this year. So not another year. And last year when we were there, about the 4th or 5th game of the season, all the talk up in the media box was Andy Dalton's a legitimate MVP candidate because he was having such a good year. The Bengals were off to a great start, and then what happens? People get hurt. Players get hurt and injured. He lost all, but he got hurt and injured. So. And then comes back this year and just has the worst season ever. It's hard to throw when you're a quarterback. It's hard to throw on your back. So he needs some protection. So whoever goes into that position, I don't care who it is, it's going to be tough to throw when you're running for your life. So Andy's more than likely going to be going somewhere else because if the Bengals draft, they have the first round.
They got the first pick.
Mm-hmm. And more than likely, they're going to go after Burrow. And we had the quarterback from LSU, who's about an hour and a half from like where I live, is there's where he grew up near Athens, Ohio. And if they pick him, then obviously Andy's future is in jeopardy. And
Probably, but if I were in their position and had an opportunity to pick him up, I would pick him up even if I didn't need him to trade him, a bargaining chip to trade later on.
Yeah. Again, they need people to protect their quarterback. I don't care who they have, throwing. Again, it's hard to throw when you're running for your life when everybody's chasing you. So they need some protection up front. And Andy's a good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. He's not a bad quarterback. He's been a good quarterback. He's a very accurate thrower. Makes good decisions. But what I've learned about Andy over the years is he's very dedicated to his team. Very generous to the community. Gets back. Has a great testimony, and he's the one who got me on these little these Kalo rings, the rubberized rings. He was one of the first high-profile athletes to start wearing those, and I did a story for Sports Spectrum on that ring and him wearing that ring because he wanted everybody to know he was married. But a lot of players don't wear their rings because it's metal. It could get hurt. Obviously, they can get caught in something and rip their finger off or break it. So he wanted to, tell everybody he's still married. So they come up. His friend of his down in Texas, came up with this idea for this rubberized ring, and he kind of made it popular. And now you see a lot of athletes wearing them.
Bless his heart. A ring being metal, if somebody were to crush your finger, the ring would crush but it won't
Yeah.
expand back. So it needs to bounce
Mhm.
back so that your finger doesn't get caught in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, these are become very, very popular. I've got color coordinated now. I have blue ones and gray ones and black ones. And
Well, I thought it was
especially
like a mood ring. That's why, is it black because you're in a bad mood, or
no, yeah, green or whatever.
yeah,
So a
a
lot of it
pink one
white and
for breast cancer awareness. That would be.
yeah, yeah. So, but anyway, Andy's probably going to be leaving town. Not for sure, but there's some uncertainty. He was asked that a lot in the last press conference. He's like, guys, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. But when he was benched for 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
That's a shot on. That's a really ego hitter because Ryan Finley. They put Ryan Finley in called the Finley experiment, and it failed miserably for Cincinnati. And so Andy was put back in. But I talked to Andy. One of the games he didn't play. He stood on the sidelines the whole time. And I got with him after the game, and I was standing over there by his car. And I said, I said, Andy, how you doing? He goes, yeah, I'm fine. And he just said it like, I'm okay. I'm going to be all right. So, he's got his head on right, knows his priorities, knows he's going to be taken care of, knows somebody's going to pick him up, knows he's going to play somewhere. But it's uncertain, and everybody goes through those times. I'm going through one of those times right now. I'm kind of not struggling. I'm just kind of at a crossroads. And we all reach that point sometimes, and and it's easy to try to take care of yourself. It's easy, not easy. It's very natural to try to want to take care of things yourself and make things happen. And I'm notorious for that. I have no patience. Everything always works out, seems like, for me. God always takes care of me, but if it was up to me, I'll mess it up every time. So I have to learn. And I'm 53, and I haven't learned yet to just sit back and say it's going to be okay. So Andy kind of helped me out a lot with his attitude. Was, hey, I'm going to be fine.
Well, it gets down to faith.
Mm-hmm.
And we all have faith. The problem is, in my estimation or in my model, we have faith in one of 3 things. At the lowest rung, we have faith in ourselves, faith in our ability to manipulate our circumstances favorably. And this is a very hard task, but some people are pretty good at it. The next level is to have faith in God, or in God's plan. So as long as you can kind of figure out how it's going to happen. Now, compare this or project this onto Andy's situation. He kind of knows. He can predict, okay, they're going to have the first draft. They're going to pick up the quarterback. That's going to put me in second place, blah, blah, blah. It's a lot easier to have faith in God's plan than to have faith in God. For example, and I'll let you weigh in on this, or try. I'm teeing it up, see where you take it. Imagine being Joseph in the jail. In jail for, by the way, doing the right thing. Surely there must have been a time that he cried out to God, what do you want from me? Or now if God would have said, Joseph, let me tell you now my plan. My plan is for you to encounter this guy and share some visions, and then he's going to meet the guard. If God would have laid out the plan, that wouldn't have taken a lot of faith. But God didn't. But Joseph had to his faith had to sustain him. Folks, we all have faith. We either have faith in ourselves, we have faith in the plan, or we have faith in God. Having faith in God when circumstances are telling us otherwise, that's pretty tough spiritually.
Yeah, I deal with that topic in my latest book, and I'm not plugging it, but having impossible faith dealt with struggles, and do you really have faith under those trying circumstances when things don't go your way? And it deals with cancer, it deals with poverty, it deals with death, tragic family events that happen that really weigh your faith, because again, everybody has it, but I think I talked about it one time. Could you pray for an egg and really believe it's going to happen? And could you sit back and tell people God's going to heal me of cancer when you have this big, gigantic, bulge coming out of your neck? That's cancer. That's as big as a football, and you say, I'm going to be healed, and believe that. I don't know. So job situations, other situations are kind of nothing for God. I think we make them a little bigger than they are, but and I do that, and I'm awful at that. And I make calls and I make my connections and try to set back. I'm good at planting the seed and watering the seed, but not letting it grow. So
From the chat room, Tammy from Georgia. She
hey,
loved the story about the rubberized rings and the fact that these men wanted to honor their wives and their marriages. I bet she didn't know
hmm
about that. A lot of people don't.
yeah, a lot of folks don't, and so that's why I did one of the stories on for Sports Spectrum years ago. It was one of the first times I met Andy. Um, was about again, you can take these rings off. They're kind of like a synthetic rubber. Very durable actually, but if you're doing something, if you're out fishing or hunting or cutting wood or playing football,
Hmm.
you can wear this and it's not going to come off. It can rip. If it gets caught on something, it'll rip right off.
Okay.
Doesn't cause any danger, but it's still, he said, hey, I'm dedicated to my team, I'm dedicated to my wife, and I want everybody to know it. And so, because some athletes have um, I guess, some well-deserved reputations. And I've been down in the locker rooms. And I've been around these folks when um, I'm not picking on some of the women, so all the ladies out there don't go crazy. But I've been at NBA locker rooms where I just see uh, ladies dressed very well, wanting to attract that athlete.
Hmm.
So they don't want to talk to me. That I don't have anything. So
Well,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know if we want to. It's hard to compete sometimes as a man. And it's funny because females, or it's
I gave up.
ironic. It's ironic, that females, there was legitimate social change needed. Females perhaps didn't have the career opportunities, uh, and they wanted to kind of be co-equals and compete in the marketplace for jobs. Yet some of them betrayed that, and they used their femininity in ways that dishonor God, and it's just sad. It's just sad because they're, I hate to use the word
But
prostituting themselves. That's not what I really
no, no.
mean, but
But
it's really just a shade off of that, isn't it?
one of the funniest, I guess it's funny. I guess it's sad if you want to categorize it. I was up at the Super Bowl, was it last year? The year before, I was up in Minnesota, and it was like -10. And I've got all my interviews done, and I'm down there by the red carpet. Some of the players are going out. Some of them are coming in, on the way, and they make too big a deal of these players. They're just football. They're just athletes,
Hmm.
but they have this big red carpet. They get these ropes and all this stuff marked off, so the ordinary people can't interrupt. By God forbid that they get in their way. So they're this red carpet. And I won't say the player, but everybody, he's pretty well known. He's walking down the red carpet by himself, and I said lady, this female out of nowhere. I mean, she has a dress that looks painted on. Again, it's -10 outside. Just jumps the barrier, lands on this guy. He catches her, has no choice but catch her because she's coming at him.
Hmm.
He catches her. She plants a big kiss on him,
Hmm.
and he's like, He's like, caught him completely off guard. He's like, "Who are you?" And then she tells him what room she's staying in.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, and so she didn't answer when I knocked on the door, but um, I'm joking. I'm joking. So, she says, I'm in room such and such. I'm in room such and such. He's like, okay, okay. So, free invitation. But it was crazy,
Yeah. Oh, it's sad. It is. Well, sadly, we're almost out of time. You
That's
have
fast.
Well, yeah. Time flies when you're having fun. It really does, and I enjoy, just sharing with you. Dell, let's take a minute to talk about your upcoming. You have volume 2
Oh, yeah.
coming
I
out.
just
You're,
started working on volume 2 for Dugout Devotions. It's due in March 1.
yeah.
So I'm well on pace to get that thing done. I did a story today about Tim Tebow, one of my interviews with Tebow
Hmm.
for it, and then I'm gonna start working on First Down Devotions Volume 2, which is due in June. Tell you what, those did really well over the Christmas break. We sold on Amazon close to 1,000 copies
Wow.
of the two combined. It was like 979 copies in like a week and a half. It was incredible. So I'm working on those two, and then coming out later this year, this is 2020, Bama Believer and Auburn Believer will be out, as well as Michigan Motivations that I wrote with Kyle. And those three will be out this year, so we're looking forward to those. And then I got some events coming up. We have the Night to Shine event with Tim Tebow will be next month. Mm-hmm. And then we have...
Now, was last year the first one that you had gone to, or do you go there?
The first one I went to, yeah. I go every year, and they're having a planning meeting this Sunday, so I'll be going to that. And then we have the North Carolina Conference coming up, and then we have Book Expo America coming up. So got some good, fun activities planned for the next couple of months.
Well,
so it's not a time to be discouraged. It's not a time for uncertainty, even though we have it. It's a time to be excited instead of discouraged. Be excited about how it's going to transpire, because it always works out somehow.
Well, it's tough. Uncertainty can be tough, but and sometimes we want God to do something. But even the disciples, when you remember they were in the boat and it was stormy, I mean, Jesus was right there with them, and they were afraid.
They were freaking out, yeah.
Yeah, so, our weakness is very apparent, and it manifests itself all the time. Yeah. But God says that we are not to be dominated by a spirit of fear. And uncertainty is just fear's cousin. You're on that path.
So I let that grab a hold of me sometimes, and then I reel it back in. But we after the events of this evening, we're allegedly attacked, so we've got to remember our troops and our leaders in prayer too, because they have a little bit better, bigger uncertainty than I do right now.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Dale. And yes, we need to be in prayer for our nation's leaders and ask for discernment, wisdom, and guidance, because God, without that, well, we're toast. So, Dale, you are a very busy man, but you have faithfully come here each Tuesday night at this time to share with us, and we're better for it. We love hearing your stories. Thank you.
Well, it's always nice to be around somebody who actually likes you, because I'm around people who don't like me all day long. So
I can't imagine who that would be, but Dale, go tell them your PJNet family rebukes them in the name of Jesus Christ. We'll just.
Thank you.
All right, Dale. We'll see you next week, man. Thanks a lot.
Talk to you next week.
There you go. Dale Duduit. What an interesting guy, and what a faithful partner, here on PJNet Live. Those of you in the chat room, I am so grateful for you participating. You make the chat lively, and, the fellowship that we have here is called koinonia. It goes beyond chat. Chat is very superficial. Folks, we're trying to dig a little deeper than that, and we love providing a platform, a safe place where people, Christians, whether they be an author or someone else, just a place that we can share our walk with God, with Jesus Christ. What a great idea! So simple, yet so profound. Folks, it's been a great evening tonight. I've got a lot of work to do. The first thing I have to do, and I know my producer is going to love this, I am almost out of Copenhagen, and I'll be up until 3 o'clock this morning. So the very first thing we're going to do when we sign off here is make a quick trip to the convenience store to refuel the Copenhagen canister, so that we can get to work on the highlights, videos, and those things that are so much an important part of what we do. Tomorrow night, Lori Hayes, and thank you, Lori, for posting that business card in the chat room. Lori Hayes will be with us, and of course, tomorrow night is Wednesday, the return of Michelle Medlock Adams. She's been out for a couple of weeks, and we will welcome her back here. It all starts at 9 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night. I hope you'll be a part of it and join us right here at PJNet Live.